Hello guys, welcome back onto the channel. This is Driveclub. Oh man, Driveclub. This is my absolute favorite racing game of all time. I've been playing racing games for over 20 years now, and I can think of a racing game that I enjoyed more than this one. And to think that when it was released, I had mixed feelings about it. I didn't like it at first, but then it quickly grew on me and quickly turned into something way bigger than I had anticipated. And they got so many things right on this game on all levels. They got the graphics right, they got the sound right, they got the sense of speed right, they got the systems in place right. They got one of the quickest loading menus that I've ever seen in any racing games, ever since we made the jump to the 3D era. And man, there's just so much to talk about, and I figure that this game deserves a series on my channel, and that's exactly what I'm about to start now. So I deleted my save. I backed it up into the cloud, and I deleted the save on my console, so I'm starting from scratch. But apparently your level data is saved up in the servers, which explains why I'm level 120, which is the maximum level in this game. There's nothing I can do about it. I could start on a separate account, but apparently none of my DLCs are accessible on a second account, so I need to use uh, the main one. But anyways, before we get started, I want to jump into the settings to check if the settings are the way I like them, and apparently they're not. So braking assist off, hardcore handling off, um, camera shake I like to turn it off, and I'm glad that this game has this option. It didn't used to be like that. They added this option on a patch that they released after they launched they released the game. So this is a great option. I don't like the camera shake because it keeps throwing me off. But anyways, um, I think this is enough. Units, let's change to kilometers per hour. Okay. Yeah, I think. Alright, that's good enough for me. So let's jump right into the drive mode. And just to give you a quick rundown of all the modes to people who haven't played the game, which I think at this point is just a few people that don't know anything about the game at least. My club is basically your social hub in the game. That's where you had your club info, you had your club connections, you had the club challenges, which was one of the most fun things to do in the game before Sony decided to kill it off, that is. And man, this game had so much going for it. So there is the garage, the replays, the settings, the my profile, which uh, kept track of everything that you did in the game. Accolades was another cool thing that you could do in the game. You basically, the more you play the game, the more accolades you would get and the more experience points you would get. So reward for next level, 144,000 XP. That's gonna count towards your club XP, which in my case is the Diablo Tune club. That's my club. And it would also count to your player level as well. So as you can see, I have pretty much most of them completed already. It would go all the way up to level 10. The game was launched up until level 5, and then they patched it up and unlocked 5 extra levels for each accolade. So you have a lot uh, to do in this game. And then you have the leaderboards, which is in this case is basically the amount of XP that you have in total in your position in the global leaderboards or your friends leaderboards. And that's the challenges, the personal challenges that you could do Oh, that's great. So they still have the community challenges going on. That's one of the things that I did the most in this game. So yeah, these were challenges that used to rotate at a set amount of time, every set of amount of time, and then you would be competing against other players at a global scale. And at the end of the challenge, you would get a certain amount of experience points based on your position. You have friends challenge, which is the challenges, which are the challenges that you get from your friends. You could create challenges, you could receive challenges from random people, which I used to get a lot, and that's it. That's all you had to do in the game, which was a lot. As you can see, I played this game so much, and still I haven't completed every single thing in the game. And then you have the Drive Club and Drive Club Bikes. Drive Club Bikes is a separate standalone DLC in the main game, which consists of tour, single event, multiplayer, and random event. Random event is a feature that I find really cool in the game because if you're in the mood to play any race in the game, but you don't want to bother setting a race up or picking up a track or a car, you just go to random event and the game is gonna pick something up for you randomly. So this was an awesome feature that I think every racing game should have. But anyways, the focus of this video is gonna be the tour event with the tour mode, which is basically your career mode in the game. Alright, so we're gonna start out with the Drive Club Tour, the first one. They have this start line championship, but this was added later into the game. This didn't come with the game at launch, and it's basically a collection of all the other events that you have spread across multiple championships, just to give you a quick taste of what you can experience in the game. So let's do the Drive Club Tour first. And here you have the individual championships. Not championships, but races. So these are individual races. You have races, you have time trial, you have drift events, and then you have these small championships that were comprised of either 2 or 3 different races. So let's jump right into the first one in Tamil Nadu in India. And another cool thing that they got so right in this game is that every race that you do, regardless of which type, it can be a time trial, it can be a race, it can be a drift event, you had a couple of objectives to do in the game. And this gives the game so much replayability, and I lost the count of how many times I've repeated events trying to get all of the objectives in each and every race that I've done in this game. So for the first one, we have 3 objectives: finish in the top 3 for the race, beat quartering face-off of 1500 points, and lap time of 1.41 seconds or less. So these are our main objectives in the game. And another cool thing that I think that the game got right, and you're gonna hear me say that a lot because this game is the closest to perfection of what a racing game should be, in my opinion. You are free to disagree with me, but to me this is as close to perfection as it gets. The game limited your car selection based on the event. You didn't have a lot of cars to choose from, and that kept the races so well balanced, which is an issue in most of the racing games that are coming out to this day, like Forza Motorsport, even Gran Turismo Sport with their recently added GT League. It's so unbalanced that when I think about that, I remember, man, Drive Club got that right. Drive Club had such balanced racing, and there is not a helping hand in this game that's favoring you every race. Basically, if you performed poorly, you wouldn't finish the race in first place. That's how I can sum it up. There was no rubber banding. There wasn't any sort of scripted thing happening in the race, like in Forza Motorsport 7, where you have uh, racers that you can see clearly that they are driving slower than they should in order to give you a chance to win. This game didn't do that. The first few races, the first few championships, they are easier, so you're not gonna have too much trouble completing them. But as you progress through the campaign mode in this game, you're gonna see the difficulty ramping up a lot, and by a lot I mean really a lot. Especially so if you're aiming to get all of the objectives in the race. There are gonna be some events that you're gonna have to repeat multiple times until you actually master it. So this game had a lot. It had a quite a challenging AI for you to compete against, and to me that makes the racing all the more exciting when you know you can't screw it up, otherwise you're gonna lose the race. And I'm figuring that this series are gonna be more of a conversation that I'm gonna be having with you guys, because I won't narrate the races as much as I'm gonna be talking about how much I love this game, how much I think that they got right, how much I think every other game that's been released to this day should take notes on how to do certain stuff, because there are games that could clearly learn from what Evolution Studios did with this game. And I'm so passionate about it that I just can't shut up about it. So I hope you bear with me as I go through this series. But yeah, this game also didn't have any real life locations. So I mean real life tracks. So if you went in expecting to see Nürburgring, Mazda Laguna Seca, or any of the tracks that you're familiar with, if you're a racing game fan, you're not gonna find them here, because this game's focus is on original tracks. They got the location, so you have India, you have Norway, Scotland, you have Japan. Japan was a track that was added later. You have Canada, you have Chile. I don't know how to pronounce, but anyways, uh, you had all these locations, but every track in this game is original. You're not gonna see any of the tracks in this game in any other racing game out there. They were exclusive to this one, because that's these are all creations that Evolution Studios worked on. And this game launched without dynamic weather, without um it was bare bones in this sense. But Evolution Studios was the type of studio that listened to their fan base. They listened to what people wanted to come to the game. They listened to what the people wanted changed in the game, and they released a constant patches to bring those features into the game, to change things up a little bit, and also added DLCs constantly. Also, the season pass that they added in this game, to me, is among the best value that you could ever find in any racing games. The DLC launched for $24.99, and it came with a lot of content. And another thing that they got so right in this game is that they gave you stuff to do with the content that they released. In Forza games, for example, you get new cars every month when you purchase the car pass, but they don't give you anything to do with those cars. You have nothing to do with them. And in Driveclub, for each car that they added new championships, they added new trophies for you to unlock, they added new objectives for you to do in each of the races. So that kind of gave you incentive to actually go out and try this new content that they were releasing. And that to me is so awesome, that I really think more racing games should adopt this. But anyways, we just finished the first race with the Mercedes A45 AMG. Now we're gonna be moving on to the next race. uh, I don't know where this track is gonna be, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so the selection here now is wider. Now, one thing that you should know about this game, though, is that uh, you can see there is some sort of white badge uh, in the car thumbnail at the bottom of the screen. That means that you had to reach a certain level in your club level in order to unlock this car, which is yet another good thing about the game. The game wanted you to go out and find people to form a club with or invite some people to your club so you could level up quicker, because everything that everybody in your club did in their own games, in their own career mode, counted towards uh, your club level, and that got you extra cars as well. But anyways, this Honda is actually a DLC car, so we're not going to be using that right now. I think I'm going to be driving the... Yeah, this Renault Megane is also a DLC car. I think I'm going to be driving the... Let's go with the Beetle. And you also unlocked colors. Of course, you could choose your own colors, but depending on how much you've driven the car, you would unlock special colors for your car. So as you can see, I have a bunch of new colors, and some of them, as you can see, I haven't unlocked all of the colors for the Beetle. So yeah, I need to reach level 15 in the Beetle in order to unlock this color. So this game uh, gave you incentive to actually drive individual cars as much as possible to unlock cool stuff. As you can see, I'm gonna unlock a bunch of new colors once I reach level 15. And that goes for pretty much every other color in the special section. That's awesome. And then you have the club color, which you could customize a certain livery, and anybody in your club could just come here to the club, and the same livery would be applied across all the cars, the people who are using the club livery. I think I'm gonna go with the... Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with this one. I really like this flake rat. And I didn't even notice whether or not I actually got the objectives in the first race, because I was so busy talking and I didn't pay attention to that. So I'm gonna check that out once we finish this race. So we have three other objectives. So finished in the top three. Average speed face off, which is a challenge in the race that you're gonna do. You're gonna see in a couple seconds. We're gonna, as you can see in the map, there's a yellow circle in a section. Here, it starts here, so we need to keep a certain average speed that is above the required one that's shown on the left. And yes, we just beat it. That's what average face-off, uh, that's how it works. So there are one of these per race. I mean objectives at least, but some of the races have multiple of these for you to do. All right, we have already beaten the lap time. Also, this was one of the very few games that I can remember of that actually had a penalty system in place for the multiplayer races. Uh, it didn't have a rating like Gran Turismo Sport does, like the sportsmanship rating, the driver, your driver level, or anything of that sort. But the penalties were contained within the race. And what I mean by that is that, let's say for example that you were going at full speed in a section that you are supposed to brake before a corner, and you just ram uh, some random guy and pushes them up against the wall. If the game identified that you didn't use the brake when you were supposed to, one of the two things would happen. Either your car would go stealth and you would end up in the wall and nothing would happen to the person in front of you, or the game would actually slow you down for 5 seconds and slow you down considerably, so much so that you would lose a couple positions because of that. So that was a nice system to have. It wasn't perfect by any means. It had a lot of things that it got wrong. Sometimes you would ram someone off, or you would get rammed off, and you wouldn't get penalized, or the other person wouldn't get penalized. And that was, I think, a failure in the system. But for the most part, it worked as intended. And that was, I think one of the very first times that I saw such a system in a console racing game. And that's such a nice thing to have, because you would find people who would try to kind of push you to the side of the track, try to edge you out. But aside from that, people will try to actually race uh, cleaner than your average racing game. And that's something that the penalty system did to people's behavior. But anyways, let me just check here. Yeah, we completed the three objectives in the first one and also on the second one. So we're going to be moving on to the third event, which is a time trials in Cayush, which is in Canada, I think. I don't remember exactly the Cayush point. Yeah, that's the name of the track. So in time trials, the objectives are a little bit different because they consist of three different tiers um, of target times that you need to reach in order to unlock each one of them, and you don't have a set amount of laps to do, so you can run for as long as you need in order to unlock the objectives. So we're going to be driving the Mini Cooper. uh, Let me change it. Let me choose a different one. I kind of like this one. So let's go with this one. I've driven so much every single car in the game that at some point when I was playing this game constantly, it's been maybe a couple months, maybe 6 months since I've played this, and I wasn't playing as constantly as I was when the game was still active before Sony decided to close off Evolution Studios. And at some point, I knew by heart which cars uh, worked better for each of the tracks, and I knew each of the cars' strengths and weaknesses of each and every one of the cars, and that's crazy to think. And I think I had accumulated over 2,000 races in total in this game, so that goes to show how much I've played this game throughout its lifespan. Now, these days, it's pretty much that. There are a couple people who still play this game online that I know, but if you're expecting to get the same amount of action that you would when the game was on its prime, then you're gonna be disappointed. And that's sad for me because this is one of the franchises that I think Sony consoles really needed. It was an exclusive game to Sony consoles, and I really wish that they kept Evolution Studios alive so that they maybe come up with Driveclub 2. And unfortunately, Driveclub 2 is never going to see the light of the day because for some reason, even though the game was selling well, it had a dedicated fan base, which is another thing that I'm going to talk about in one of the later videos. Somehow Sony decided to close the studio off and pretty much kill the game. The servers are still alive, but I think it's just a matter of time before Sony decides to cut the cord and make the game pretty much dead for real. And Evolution Studios was dissolved, and but Codemasters bought the staff, and they created a new studio that's working on a new upcoming game that I think it's coming out sometime over this year, and it's called On Rush. It's an arcade game that kind of resembles Motor Storm, which was another franchise of success done by Evolution Studios, and they are creating this game. It's basically an arcade racer. I don't have high hopes for it, but to be honest, I didn't have high hopes for Drive Club when I first saw it, and it turns out to be my favorite game ever. So I think I'm gonna wait and see without before forming any opinions about their upcoming game. I have good faith in the people that used to be part of the Evolution Studio. So even though I don't have high hopes for it, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna come up with something incredible for the racing community. And that was an easy one. As I said, these first events are gonna be very easy because they serve more of an as an introduction to how the game works, the type of challenges that you can find in each of the races. But as we progress, you're gonna see that I'm gonna have a much harder time completing the challenges and even coming in first place. And I can't wait to get to that point because that's where the races get really, really exciting. And as you can see, the loading in this game is incredibly short. As you can see, we are already back into the menu, and this is ridiculous. Forza Motorsport may take sometimes up to 2 minutes to load the race, and this game does that in no time at all. There's basically no waiting between menus, and that's awesome, really, really awesome. But anyways, we have three more objectives in another one of those time trial events. We're gonna be yeah, we have this Volkswagen and we have the Golf GTI and the Beetle. Well, since I have already used the Beetle, I'm gonna use the Golf GTI. Another thing that I really love about this game is that the cars are huge on the screen, and I really love big cars. That's one of my main complaints about past Gran Turismo games. The cars were really small on the screen. They took up very little space, especially so when you compare against Forza and Drive Club. But even Drive Club has bigger cars than Forza does, and I love the fact that they take up so much space on the screen. It's a visual candy, an eye candy actually. I was looking for the right expression. It's an eye candy, and I love that the cars are huge. They are really detailed, and it makes you appreciate all the effort that the developer put into modeling these cars, uh, as faithful as it could be to the real life thing. And Gran Turismo didn't have that. The cars used to be so small, and they kind of fixed that in Gran Turismo Sport. The cars are much bigger, especially so when you tweak the camera settings in the game. You have two camera settings, one that is kind of a chase far camera, and then you have a new option that is chase close camera, which brings the car much closer to the screen. And that's my preferred camera option in the game. Oh crap. And I love that they have the ghosts of all three target times racing with you all at the same time, because you have an idea of how fast or how slow you're doing during the race without having to resort to maybe pausing the menu or checking your time. You don't need to do that. Just need to check the map and see if the ghost is still far from you or too close to you. But anyways, we've beaten all the three target scores, so we press the pause button and select finish event. So that's gonna count as a complete event because we beat the target scores. And that's it. These were the first four events in Drive Club. On the next video, we're gonna be continuing doing this tour mode. We're gonna be doing this is a sort of a championship. It has two races in it, so it's a shorter one. I think the maximum amount of races in a championship in this game, I think, are three. But anyways, guys, needless to say, I think you can tell by now that I'm passionate about this game. I love this game, and I have tons of fun playing through the tour mode, playing the game in in any way that I want. It's such a great fun for me. So likewise, I hope you had fun watching the video. I hope you enjoyed watching me go on and on about how great I think this game is. And I'm a fanboy. I need to accept that. I'm a Driveclub fanboy. But anyways, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more Driveclub content, share the video with your friends and on your social media. It helps me out a lot and I really appreciate the help. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye.